Welcome to the world of Jones Knows. Are you thinking of installing some Corelux vinyl in your home? Well, we got some great tips and tricks for Corelux vinyl today on Jones Knows.
It's so beautiful, you and me, we meant to be.
Hi, if you're new to the channel, my name is Tim. This here is Max, and helping me in the videos are my sons Tristan and Hunter. They're just jumping, they're multiplying like gremlins. No, they're not gremlins. I fed them after midnight. I'm in trouble. And helping me in the videos are my sons Tristan and Hunter. So we were recently selected to install some Corelux vinyl in a Jewish center. The color was Dewy Meadow Oak, and we installed about 800 square feet. It was a really nice product to work with, and today I'm going to show you how to install it. So without any further ado, let's jump out to the installation. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you're installing Corelux, or any vinyl for that matter, is get a nice clean smooth subfloor. So it took a lot of scraping, sweeping, and vacuuming just to get it in shape for us to put our vapor barrier down. You need to use a 6mm poly when you're installing Corelux, and most vinyls out there with the exception of LifeProof. So you're going to want to make sure if you have seams in the vapor barrier that you overlap it by minimum 12 inches. I'd like to go even more than that, and it has to cover continuous all over the area that you're going to install the flooring. In our room here, it was a rectangular shaped room, a lot longer than it was wide, so we decided to go with the length of the room, which was a real hit with the rabbi. Being sarcastic here, he seemed a little disappointed, but in our case here it needed to be installed that way. It hid imperfections in the floor by installing it the length of the room, and it makes the room look a lot bigger. At the end of the day, we're only going to do it the right way, because he would have been a lot more disappointed if his floor looked wavy when he looked across it. This floor cut's really easy. Only thing you have to do is score, flip the board over, and snap it. You don't need any saws for this flooring. As you'll see in the video here, we only used a utility knife. So it's a nice product as far as not needing a whole lot of tools to install. So in getting started, you're going to cut 4 or 5 random size pieces. Keep in mind that you're going to want to stagger your joints. No two joints should line up anywhere across this entire floor. How do you do that? You never start with a full board and never start with the same size pieces. Now, you need to vary your end joints by a minimum of a board's width. So these are like 6-inch wide, 7-inch wide planks. You don't want to have your end joints closer than a board's width. But as a rule of thumb, try to go 8 to 12 inches apart, and no two boards the same. But it's not the easiest floor to install. It does require a little finagling on your end joints. It's just one extra step because they don't drop in like LifeProof and Nucor do. So I hope you really like the color, because there are easier products out there. So once you got your starter rows in place, it's a matter of installing the field, which is all your full boards. As you see here, we'll hook our end joint in, and then far end of the board, not where the end joint is, the opposite end, we'll put that end in, and then push the rest of the board in. Now I like to use a mallet, as you see here. The mallet will just give it that little extra boost. Now you don't want to slam it or you will break the tongue. That's why we use Lexi mallets. You can save that extra step by hooking 2 boards together, your first and second board, especially if they're a shorter starter. Put them together on the end joint and then just install them as one piece, and then you won't have to go with that extra step of trying to hook and pull the other end of the board in. You can just install it in one piece. So once you get it in, some of the boards require a little bit extra finesse, because you could see it just wasn't quite locked all the way. What we did was we take a scrap piece of the flooring, use it as a tapping block, lock it in as you see here, and then hit that with our mallet, and that'll just make sure that we have no gaps on the long joints. And if you close all the joints all the way, you won't have any problems. If you leave that joint open, even in the slightest way, you'll have more problems on the next row, and it'll get worse and worse. So your starter rows especially, take your time, get started with a good foundation, and you won't have any problems with the rest of the installation. So once you get your first few rows installed, you're going to want to pull the floor 1/4 inch off the wall for expansion, and then to keep it from moving around, I like to take some of the flooring boxes, put them on the floor as weight to hold it in place, and that way your floor won't move around on you and it'll be properly spaced off the wall. That's a good trick so that you don't have to worry about that floor moving around. Technically, if you had a plywood subfloor, you could always screw the floor down to the plywood underneath where the baseboards go, but the boxes work just as good. So now, finishing the rows are really easy. If you brought a tape measure, just throw it away or leave it at home. You're not going to need it. The only thing you want to do is take the board that you're going to install for the last board in the row, flip it backwards so that the wrong end is touching the wall that you're finishing against, and where it meets the last board that you installed, allow 1/4 inch for expansion and score it and snap it and then install it. Real simple. Again, flip the board so it's facing the wrong direction with the wrong end touching the wall. Where it intersects with the last board in the row, score it, flip it over, snap it, install it. Can't get any easier than that. You don't need a tape measure, and that really speeds things up. Coming down to the finish. Once you get all the rows in and you have that one last row to install, the final row. A lot of people struggle with that. It's not hard though, especially with this product, because you don't have to use any saws. You just use your razor knife, and this is a great trick that we use here to install our last row. We'll take a full board that we're going to use for the last row cut, place it above the last completed row, and then take a scrap board, any full board, and put it up against the wall. And as you see here, where it meets the board we want to cut, just run your razor knife down it. Now, don't worry about expansion, because the tongue on the board is going to give us that extra space that we need for expansion. We're running it down the tongue, remember, so that's almost a 1/4 inch right there. So you don't have to allow for expansion, you just want to run it right down the board using the tongue as a guide, and just run it down. And as you see here, once we get it scored, my son will flip it over and hit it with his mallet where it is scored to loosen it up, and then once he gets it a little bit snapped, you can just use your hands the rest of the way and break it, and that's all there is to it. This will save you a lot of time trying to measure. Walls are not straight, they're not accurate. As you see here, you just use the board as your guide. If that wall is a little off, that board's going to mark it perfectly where the wall is. You can't go wrong with this method. Don't try to measure it. Don't make it harder than it has to be. Don't use a tape measure. Use this method and you'll find that it will save you a lot of time, be a lot more accurate. So this is the way that we mark all of our last rows, no matter what kind of product we're installing, whether it's laminate, wood, vinyl, it doesn't matter. We put it up against the wall and let the board be our guide. And you can't go wrong, because boards don't lie. Wow, so I think the installation came out really nice. It's not a bad looking product. Let me know what you think. Would you install this product in your home? If you've already installed Corelux, I'd love to hear some comments about the installation, if you had any problems, if you love the product, whatever it is, just drop us some comments. Let's get a conversation started so the viewers out there can hear a little more about this product. I'm going to be reviewing it, So look for the review on this product in the next week or two coming out, where we put this product to the test just to find out how good it is. If you're new to the channel, be sure to check out some of our other content. We have lots of great videos on how to install vinyl, laminate, wood, stairs, you name it. Plus we do product reviews. We review vinyl, laminate, we put vinyl up against laminate, we torture them, we run them over, we submerge them, we do whatever it takes to find out which of these floors are best for you. If you haven't subscribed yet, I want you to take out your favorite flooring mallet, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss any future content.